Good morning, Abhishu. It is Tuesday. Yeah, my hair has started having an identity of its own now. It's just growing in its own way now. So, but yeah, it's been a nice couple of weeks since the podcast. I mean, I think we did publish it, but there's not been a lot of views on that yet. I'm not sure if people do watch it in the first couple of weeks anyway. I've seen a lot of friends talk about it, talk about episodes even a month after we posted them, and they just start talking about it. So, but yeah, that's just internal stuff. I really wanted to talk about another thing that I've been, trying to pick up. You might have noticed, of course, that I've started reading more now, and the most recent book that I'm reading is "What Money Can't Buy" by who was it? I think it was Michael Sandel. Okay, that's right. um, yeah, it's a really interesting book. It's really about it's not a self help book if that's the impression that it's giving you. It's more of a it's trying to gauge the boundaries of what free market is, what capitalism does to the free market and things like that, and how free or restricted should a market be in a very moral setting, not in a very practical setting, but just trying to think of different things. Like, I mean, you wouldn't sell your vote, but you're okay with selling your position in a queue, for example, right? And of course, these are very two extreme examples, but there is something that comes between between these two different examples. And the interesting part in the book is where you really morally would want to draw the line, and it really makes you question things as well. It's not really a one-sided thing that it tells you what is moral, but it really makes you think of what should be in your own opinion, right? But yeah, I'm gonna be talking about the book a bit more, maybe in a later video once I've finished reading it, or maybe in an Instagram post I want to make a book review. Let's see. I mean, whatever happens. But the reason why I'm talking about reading specifically is because I started this thing in 2021, right? That I wanted to read more than I used to. Okay, that was my goal for this year, and it's already been November, and in the last 10 months, I think I've read a fair share of books. I mean, I think I started with Dune. And I mean, I say I think because I'm not sure if it was the last week of December or the first week of January where I finished it. But the idea is that I was already in works of starting to read more books, right? And after that, I think I read a total of 6, 7 books, and I've actually picked up 9, 10 books in total, right? And here's the difference, right? That I've picked up 10 books, but I've not read all of them, right? And that's really a kind of the point I'm trying to get at is that I have not read all the books that I picked up, which is something that I used to hate doing. And I think it's quite a controversial topic in general between readers anyway. That should you skip reading a book, or delay it later on and pick up another book, or things like that. I mean, should you do parallel reading, things like that? There's a lot of ways you can read books. Okay, and the specific part that I want to talk about is that it really is not necessary for you to finish a book that you picked up, right? Because for me personally, my experience has been that because I had this restriction for myself that I'll finish a book that I read, I was always really, really concerned about what book I'm reading, and what's the reviews and what story is being told, or what concepts it's trying to teach, things like that. I mean, I've read non-fiction books as well as fiction now, and I've definitely changed my stance of not reading non-fiction. I used to say that to everyone that I never read non-fiction, and that has kind of I mean, it has definitely changed. It's not kind of changed. It's definitely a thing of the past for me now. And Yeah, the idea is that with picking up more and more books, you are not restricting yourself to finding this perfect book for yourself, right? You're going into the book and then you're realizing that, okay, this might not be the right book for me right now. Maybe I'll read that later, or maybe there are some books that I will definitely not pick up because I either don't like it, or it's not made for me, or it's not the right style that I'm looking for, things like that. So let me give a couple of examples. Okay, the first one is 100 years of solitude, 100 years in solitude, something like that. And it's a book by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and it's a great book about I think it's kind of a generational family story, that it goes between generations, and it just keeps jumping between generations, and you won't realize it because every generation has an Aureliano. That was the right name. I'm not sure, but the thing is, I started that book and I read, I think, like 20-30% of the book, and it was a bit overwhelming at the time. I think I was reading it in April or May, something like that, when I had just started looking for jobs, and I had just finished my masters, and it was a bit of a hectic time for me mentally as well, because I was trying to sort out a lot of different things. And for me, I felt that that book was not at the right time. It wasn't for the right time for me to read it, and I dropped it, and I am planning to come back to it somewhere in the future. I mean, somewhere in the near future, actually, as well. I mean, now that I have the Kindle, I think it's going to be a better experience for me to read as well. I didn't want to read it on the laptop, and I didn't want to read it on the phone, but the Kindle seems like a better experience, which is going to be another discussion as well, a more long-term review on what the Kindle is like. But for now, specifically on books, yeah, that's a book that I want to read, but not right now, and that's why I dropped it. And another book that I picked up was Moby Dick, and I started it. Even that book, I think I finished. Kindle says I finished 26% of it, and it's a really long book. I think it's like a 750 800 page book, and the theme is really similar to what I was looking for in Gita as well. I mean, I know it sounds a bit weird for me to compare Moby Dick to Gita, but it kind of Moby Dick kind of is a Shakespearean book where it talks about all these kinds of life moments and all these learnings that you get for being on the sea, or being with people and interacting with people on a ship, things like that. And I mean, while I understand the appeal of that book, it's definitely not a genre for me. That's what I've realized, and I don't think I'll be coming back to that book, right? And yeah, I've switched to this new book now, What Money Can Buy, and that's the idea that I have dropped a lot more books than I used to drop. I think there was also another book. To Kill a Mockingbird. I started that book. That's also something, but I think I read like a chapter or two. I didn't even like really start the book as well. Yeah, to be honest, and I dropped it because it was not the right kind of story. I was not looking for it anyway, so I dropped it. And I was thinking, now that I know what it is about, I'll read it sometime later in my life, maybe more farther in the future than 100 Years in Solitude, because that I really like that story. But it's too intense for me right now. It's not intense, thriller wise, but there's a lot of content to to try to absorb, right? And yeah, that's really the idea, right? That even if I didn't read these three books, I managed to read a lot more than I used to. I finished five books, and I'm on my sixth book right now. And if all goes well, I will have finished six books this year, which is a lot more than I used to read. So okay, in school I definitely used to read a lot more than six books, of course. But since I came to college, I think I've not read more than two books a year. Like honestly, it's been I don't know. I don't get time to read it or whatever. I mean, honestly, I've talked about this multiple times as well. It's always about priorities. It's you can never find time to do everything in your life, so you just gotta prioritize things. It's not. It's kind of work of math that okay, if I spend these many hours doing something, then I won't have all those hours doing something else. It's as simple as that. But yeah, I've tried to shift that a bit and plan to read a bit more. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I think a great experience in that has been this freedom of me now not worrying about finding the right book and just starting to read. And yeah, that's the learning I think that I've came across, I think, this past 10 months, and probably even the next couple of months if I do pick up another book. And yeah, that's really just been my case for you to just pick up a book and start reading, and not just try to find the right book for you. And I will see you on Tuesday then. Friday. I'll see you on Friday.